Welcome to the shop, machine shop at Then and Now Automotive. What we've got today, I'm gonna walk you through the making of a mold for what I thought was a transmission mount, but it turns out it's somewhat of an exhaust hanger. Cross member. This bolts down to the cross member. The exhaust system hangs on this. Somehow. You would have thought that it went this way. But I see pictures, the customer sent me pictures with this bolted onto the cross member. And I don't know whether there's a bracket comes across or up or what. But anyway, it goes to a 1935 Chrysler Airstream, a C6. Kind of similar in appearance to a 35 Ford. If you Google it, you'll see it's a pretty nice looking car. But the customer explains that the way that this thing sits, when this is on the cross member and the exhaust is hanging on it, you notice that it drops down. This comes in direct contact with the cross member. So now we got exhaust noise, the exhaust engine sound, and vibrations going to the cross member, going through the whole car. Now, I'm going to modify it a little bit, keeping these same dimensions, and I'm going to fill this in with rubber so that when this is bolted in, it isolates it from the cross member. It'll be sitting on rubber. It might make for a quieter ride, but we'll see what happens when we go through it. Now, what I've come up with so far, I think I'll use this for the base, and we can block up one side with this, block up the other side. Now I've got to leave room in the back, and I've got to do something about blocking this up so that it isn't flush with the rest of it. I think I'll take a piece of this, and what I'll do is I'll mill this. I'll mill this down only because I don't have any 1/4 inch. And we'll attach it in here. I gotta get something to block up the two sides and up to about here. And if I set this in the right spot, I should be able to, I think I'll make it an injection mold. I'll put a top on it, put a series of holes across the center, get my my big pot and press the rubber in through it. Now I've got to attach all these things, figure out how I want to do it. And we'll be off to the Bridgeport shortly. A lot of times when I make a mold, I don't draw any pictures, so I don't have a print to go by. I just kind of pull it out of my head. So when I was talking earlier about milling this down from 1/2 inch to a 1/4, how about if I mill out a 1/4 inch slot in there and drop this into it. I've already shortened it. It was up here before. go over to the Bridgeport and shorten it, or fill out this piece right in here. Now that that's all set, fits in there perfect. I'm gonna go in here. I gotta get something to block this up. These two sides. Looks like we got one 300. By 1.5 inches. Yep. 1 300 by 1.5, 1 500. And should be 2 inches tall. Now we'll cut a couple of pieces for this. I gotta make sure I notch out for the leg. And we'll be back to the Bridgeport. Okay, I got a couple of pieces I cut. And what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set them in 1/2 inch. And I'll bolt it through the ends. So I need 2 of these. Off to the Bridgeport. I milled out enough room so I could get this right down in here. That will hold. I'll just have to do the other side, cut a notch in it like this so that it would sit in here. Kind of hard to see. Sit on this step. And one of those doing that on that side. Now, there's a small change of plans. After doing some digging around, we came up with an OE mount. It's an original, never been touched, never been mounted on anything. Actually, the rubber's pretty good in there. But now I'm noticing that this other bracket is this far away from this other plate. If we put this down on here, this piece sits up 1/8 of an inch higher. So what I gotta do is I gotta mill all this out so that that bracket will sit down, and then this will sit on top. This piece here will sit on the aluminum, and the bracket will sit down 1/8 of an inch. It's just something that happens. And it's going to end up changing these two ends. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Going to take a little break. This will be the end of part 1. Part 2 will be coming shortly.